active dives like that, sometimes they come out trying to pretend they're birds.
Oh, no.
They will jump off the water.
You will sometimes get them jumping. So I usually give it about 45 seconds to a minute when I see an active dive. That way, if they do decide to come out flying, I am ready to go.
Okay.
More often than not, the first time you see a humpback jump, you're so excited about it that you'll forget to hit that shutter screen. I know I did that the first time I ever saw a breach. So that is a behavior that we call mugging, and it is not an unheard of behavior. It is something that we work very hard to discourage. The reason for that is because a lot of videos come out of humpbacks doing muggings, and when people see those videos, they want the same encounter, and what they will tend to do is run their boats on top of whales.
Shit.
And that is not good for them, and that is not good for the whales either. So we try to prevent it from happening. However, there are times where it is not preventable. So with orca, we have 200-meter minimum distance. Humpbacks, we tend to sit between about 100 to 200 meters. For my folks working in Imperial, about 100 to 200 yards. But yes, we are going to try to do everything in our power to prevent very, very close stuff, but it does occasionally happen. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot to choose from. He's got
Yeah, that doesn't look
Oh yeah, I think there's like 7 or 8 humpbacks in here right now.
really?
Really? Yeah.
So, orcas travel in pods. Do they travel like is that all together?
Great
or
question.
separate?
So, now this is a really interesting one because the research that's been done on humpbacks and arguably on almost all species of whales have been done on populations that have been in critical state. So, humpbacks were basically hunted to the point of near extinction. They were considered critically endangered for quite a while, and only in the last few years have they been pulled off and put onto least concern. So what that means is that all the research that's been done has been done on really small numbers. So what research tells us is that no, they don't travel in pods. Occasionally you'll get groupings up of 1 or 2 together, but usually not much more than that. There you are. Now, my theory is that as we see numbers rise, I think in the next 10 to 20 years that research could change, and I think it's very, very likely we will see pod humpbacks.
Are the humpback calves sometimes targeted by the transients, or is that different?
Yes. So calves will be preyed on by transients, which is one of the reasons why we believe they summered down in the tropics. And then by the time they make it up here, or I should say winter down in the tropics, and then by the time they make it up here, usually the calves are big enough by that point that they're big enough that orcas would have to think quite heavily about it. The reason I'm not going to that humpback that we're seeing is I'm pretty sure we've got a closer one. That's just down on a dive right now. That being said, I could be very wrong. But yes, so orcas will prey on humpbacks. Now, as we're seeing bigger and bigger groups of orcas, we are seeing, so there was like that report or that story of the a group of 30 orcas going after full-grown, I believe they were gray whales, which is pretty intense. So as we're seeing bigger groups of orcas, we may see them actively hunting some of the bigger whales as well.
What size of the group did you say?
That one was apparently a group of 30.
30 orcas.
Transients, which is really
Oh yeah.
cool.
Wow.
We do occasionally see bigger groups here as well. Typically, though, they're groups of, like a big group out here would be like 12 to 13. It's pretty unusual as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So, one of the other things with watching whales is time is warped. So time slows down when you're waiting for a whale to come to the surface. It is just one of of those facts. 2 minutes starts to feel like 5 minutes, 5 minutes feels like 10 minutes. Yeah, I could be wrong. That could have been the same one. It's just moved further out, but I do feel like we've got